Rain trickled softly against the window pane as Emily Carter set her coffee down beside a pile of scattered papers. As an investigative journalist living in Seattle, gray skies and constant drizzle were nothing unusual, but today, an odd uneasiness lingered in the air, something she couldn't quite place. She glanced again at the newest anonymous letter she'd found in her mailbox this morning. The envelope, plain and unremarkable, bore no return address. Only her name, written neatly in black ink. It was the third she'd received this week, each signed ominously, "Your secret friend." At first, she'd dismissed the letters as a tasteless prank or an overly enthusiastic reader's misguided attempt at admiration. But today's message was different, disturbingly personal. "That blue sweater suits you perfectly, Emily. It's a shame you left your balcony door unlocked last night. Anyone could have slipped inside." Emily felt a shiver crawl down her spine as she glanced toward her apartment's sliding balcony door. Could someone really be watching her? Her rational side insisted she was safe, locked behind sturdy doors, high above bustling city streets. Yet the sinking feeling in her gut was unmistakable. Trying to shake off the creeping paranoia, Emily shifted her focus to the story sprawled across her table: the unsolved murder at Lake Aurora. A month earlier, the body of a young woman named Alyssa Monroe had been discovered near an old, abandoned post office on the outskirts of town. Police had found no suspects, no motives, no answers, only an eerie silence that frustrated detectives and journalists alike. Emily had begun digging into the mystery, determined to uncover the truth. The story had consumed her waking hours, pulling her deeper into the tangled web surrounding Alyssa's death. As she leafed through notes on her desk, her phone vibrated abruptly, making her jump. "Emily Carter," she answered, trying to steady her voice. "It's Frank Morrison," a warm yet serious voice replied. Frank was a retired postal worker she'd recently contacted, a kindly man in his 60s known among Seattle journalists for his encyclopedic knowledge of the local postal system. "Did you get my email?" Emily quickly opened her laptop, her fingers trembling slightly as she clicked on Frank's message. "I see it. What's this about discontinued stamps?" Frank cleared his throat, clearly unsettled. "I recognized something peculiar about the photos you sent me of your letters. Those stamps, they haven't been printed since 1987. Whoever's sending you these knows more than just your daily routine. They're deliberately using obsolete postal routes and stamps to obscure their identity." A cold dread cooled in Emily's stomach. "Why would someone do that?" "Because they're showing off," Frank replied gravely. "They want you, and only you, to understand how close they can get." Before Emily could respond, a soft thud echoed from the hallway outside her apartment door. She froze, heart racing, eyes locked on the thin sliver of space beneath her door. Seconds ticked by, each one stretching painfully into eternity. Slowly, she approached the entrance, breath tight in her chest. With trembling fingers, Emily unlocked and opened the door, revealing nothing but empty space. Empty, except for a small package neatly wrapped in plain brown paper, placed carefully at her doorstep. With shaking hands, Emily brought the package inside, unwrapping it with hesitation. Inside, her pulse quickened as photographs spilled onto the table. Each photo showed Emily in various public places: a cafe downtown, outside her apartment building, even at a local bookstore. Someone had been following her, meticulously chronicling her daily life. At the bottom of the box lay a folded note. Emily unfolded it slowly, dreading every word. "Stop digging into the Lake Aurora murder, or you'll become part of the story." Emily's hands trembled violently, nearly dropping the note. Her stalker knew exactly what she was working on, clearly threatened by her investigation. Fear surged through her body, but so did defiance. She wouldn't be bullied into silence. Desperate for guidance, she dialed Frank again, her voice shaking with urgency. "Frank, someone is trying to stop my investigation. I received a threatening package filled with pictures. They know everything." Frank's voice grew tense. "Emily, listen closely. Years ago, a postal worker named Robert Hayes disappeared under suspicious circumstances. He used to handle the mail routes near Lake Aurora. I always believed something was off about him, but the authorities dismissed it. If he's still around, he's incredibly dangerous." Emily's throat tightened, the walls of her apartment suddenly feeling far less protective. "Do you think Hayes is the one behind the letters?" Frank paused. "If he's alive, it's possible. But Emily, be careful. People like him never work alone." As Frank's words lingered, Emily looked toward her open window, suddenly feeling watched, exposed. She hurriedly shut the curtains, yet the uneasy feeling remained, as though invisible eyes still pierced through the darkness. That night, sleep was impossible. Every creak of the building, every gust of wind felt sinister. Finally, exhausted but determined, Emily rose from her bed and began digging through old archives online. Desperate for clues about Robert Hayes and the Lake Aurora murder, little did she know her pursuit of truth had already awakened something sinister, something hidden deep within the city's shadows, ready to silence anyone who dared to uncover its secrets, and it was watching her closer than ever before. The next morning, Emily sat huddled in the back corner of Cafe Luna, scanning through old newspaper archives on her laptop. Each sip of coffee failed to ease the lingering anxiety from last night's threats. Her investigation into Robert Hayes had revealed unsettling details. He'd vanished 20 years ago amid rumors of misconduct, harassment, and stalking. Accusations ignored until his disappearance silenced them altogether. Just as Emily was about to close her laptop, a notification popped onto her screen. A new email from an anonymous sender. Her breath hitched. She hesitated, then clicked open the message, heart racing. "Your friend Frank talks too much. Maybe it's time to silence him. How about another swim at the lake?" Fear surged through her body like a cold shockwave. Panicked, Emily dialed Frank's number immediately. The line rang unanswered, fueling her dread. She grabbed her things and raced toward Frank's modest home in Queen Anne. She arrived to find his front door slightly ajar. Emily hesitated, then slowly pushed it open, calling softly, "Frank, are you home?" Only eerie silence answered. Inside, the house appeared undisturbed, until she noticed a small trail of muddy footprints leading to Frank's study. Cautiously, she followed. The study was in chaos. Papers scattered, drawers overturned, and Frank's laptop screen shattered on the floor. Amidst the debris, Emily saw a familiar stamp lying crumpled, a discontinued stamp identical to those on her letters. Emily's stomach churned. Her tormentor had been here. She spun around, startled by the sudden ringing of her phone. An unknown number flashed across the screen. "Who is this?" she demanded. A distorted voice replied calmly, "Enjoying my game, Emily? Frank wasn't supposed to interfere. This was between you and me." "What have you done to Frank?" Emily shouted, voice cracking. "Nothing compared to what I'll do if you continue your little investigation," the voice said darkly. "Meet me tonight at the old Aurora post office, alone. If anyone else shows up, Frank won't see sunrise." The line went dead. Desperation drove Emily straight to the police station, where Detective Laura Collins listened skeptically to her story. Emily showed the threats and evidence, but Collins shook her head. "Without proof Frank's missing or hurt, I can't do much, but I'll have officers swing by his place," Collins said finally, handing Emily her card. "Call immediately if anything else happens." Frustrated by the lack of action, Emily returned home, knowing she had no choice but to face her tormentor alone. Hours later, as night descended, Emily parked near the derelict Aurora postal facility. The crumbling building loomed ominously, its windows broken, doors chained shut. She slipped inside through a gap in the fence, heart pounding in her ears. Inside, the air was heavy with dust and mold. Stacks of abandoned mailboxes lined the walls, covered in graffiti and rust. Deeper into the shadows, Emily spotted faint candlelight flickering from a back room. Slowly, she stepped forward, the wooden floor creaking beneath her feet. In the dimly lit room, she saw walls covered in photographs. Hundreds of candid images depicting women unaware they were being watched. Emily's own face stared back at her from multiple pictures, her private moments violated. A voice spoke quietly from behind her. "You're even braver than I expected, Emily." Emily spun around, confronting a gaunt, pale figure stepping from the shadows. Robert Hayes, older than his photos, yet eyes sharp with sinister clarity. "Why are you doing this?" Emily demanded, hiding her terror beneath anger. "Because I must protect my secrets," Robert said, eyes gleaming with madness. "Alyssa Monroe discovered them first, so she had to go. Now, you're forcing my hand again." From his pocket, Robert produced Frank's glasses, cracked and stained. Emily gasped, tears stinging her eyes. "What did you do?" Robert smiled coldly. "That's entirely up to you now. End your investigation, Emily. Walk away tonight. And Frank might still be alive tomorrow." Emily's eyes darted to her phone, secretly recording everything in her pocket. Her voice steadied, defiant. "No, this ends tonight." Robert's smile vanished, replaced by cold fury. Wrong choice. He lunged toward her, and Emily bolted, plunging deeper into the darkness, the sound of his footsteps echoing ominously behind her. Emily's heart thundered in her chest as she scrambled through the maze of rusted mailboxes and scattered debris. The abandoned post office was a labyrinth of shadows, each corridor indistinguishable from the last. She heard Robert Hayes close behind, his slow, deliberate footsteps echoing like a predator confident in capturing its prey. She ducked into a small storage room, pressing herself flat against the wall, holding her breath as Robert passed. His voice, chillingly calm, resonated down the hallway. "You can't hide from me, Emily," he called, almost amused. "I know every corner of this place." Emily's phone buzzed quietly. Detective Collins. Her shaking fingers answered quickly, whispering urgently, "I'm trapped inside Aurora post office. Robert Hayes is here. He's dangerous. Please hurry." "We're en route," Collins replied firmly. "Hold tight." Emily waited in suffocating silence, pulse racing. Minutes felt eternal. Suddenly, she heard distant sirens. Police had finally arrived. Relief flooded her, but vanished quickly when she realized Robert had vanished. The halls, once again, silent. Tentatively stepping from her hiding place, Emily made her way toward the exit. But as she approached the main corridor, Robert suddenly appeared, blocking her escape. His expression had shifted to quiet desperation. "You ruined everything," he hissed, his voice trembling with rage. "I tried to warn you, but you wouldn't listen." Emily steadied herself, gripping her phone tightly, knowing she needed more of his confession. "Warn me? You murdered Alyssa because she discovered your secrets. How many others have you stalked and terrorized?" Robert's eyes narrowed, darkening dangerously. "They never understood my intentions. I watched over them, protected them. You killed them," Emily countered angrily. "That's your idea of protection." Robert stepped closer, voice dropping to a harsh whisper. "They forced my hand, just like you." Suddenly, voices and footsteps erupted from outside. Police stormed the building, flashlights cutting through the darkness. Detective Collins appeared, gun drawn, shouting commands. Robert turned sharply, panic overtaking his face as officers swiftly closed in. He glared at Emily, defeat etched into every line of his face. "It won't end here. I'm just one small part." As police seized him, Robert's chilling words lingered, echoing in Emily's ears. Detective Collins approached, placing a reassuring hand on Emily's shoulder. "We got your recording. He's finished." "But Frank," Emily choked, fighting tears. "He said Frank might still be alive." Detective Collins nodded solemnly. "We found Frank at the lake, injured, but alive. Hayes underestimated your courage." Emily exhaled, relief washing over her like a wave, though she couldn't shake Robert's haunting final words. Days later, recovering from the ordeal, she visited Frank at the hospital, grateful to find him battered but strong. He squeezed her hand gently. "You saved both of us," he murmured. "But be careful. There were always whispers about something bigger at play." Emily tried to move on, pouring herself back into her work, determined never to let fear silence her voice again. Yet, one chilly afternoon, weeks later, she paused at her mailbox, fingers trembling as she spotted a familiar envelope waiting for her. Plain, unmarked, and sealed with another discontinued stamp. Her stomach twisted sharply. She tore it open, pulse racing as she read the single line. "Your secret friend sends his regards." Emily glanced around nervously, suddenly aware of the countless eyes that passed her daily, strangers masked behind familiar faces. Robert Hayes was gone, but his sinister words still echoed clearly. "I'm just one small part." Deep within her chest, Emily understood the truth. Her fight had only just begun.